Got to walk the walk, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so I do have some questions. You kind of already talked about why you created the 50 Fit information and training. So I'm going to go on to the next question. It's something that I noticed from your product is that, and you kind of touched on it a little while ago, but a lot of the fitness products these days, like you were saying, they do seem to be geared towards a younger crowd, and it's very adrenaline driven. So they use all kinds of words like extreme and burning and ultimate and ripped and all kinds of shredding and max and all that stuff. So I just wanted to know what your idea was about, your title specifically. It seems pretty self-explanatory, but just give us a little glimpse into the product itself, and if you are not doing that shredding and ripping and tearing and all that other stuff.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, really, and I have a couple different Fredisms, but my experience is that people, especially once they hit 40, are more interested in saving their butt than having a nice butt. Now, we all want to look our best. We all want to have a nice butt. The six-pack abs. Biceps, triceps, whatever. Nice thin hips, whatever men, women want. Right. We all want that. But that is a byproduct of a sustainable lifestyle. Sustainable meaning I can do this for the rest of my life. So when you get into the ripped, shredded, all those words, I mean, a lot of that is marketing hype, really driven to appeal maybe to your ego or whatever. And again, who doesn't want to be, lean, ripped, look as good as they can? But again, what I think most intelligent adults understand over the age of 40 to whatever. I don't really want to put a number on it, but you've got to start thinking about quality of life, and will you be able to enjoy the second half century of your life? Will you be able to move well? Will you be able to be lean, healthy, do things, feel good about yourself with your shirt off in your bathing suit or whatever? So the way to get there is a common sense, in my humble opinion, full body, functional, metabolic, meaning it will jack up your calories and your heart rate as well, strength training program that you will actually do. So that's why I boiled it down to 28 days. And some of the best testimonies I have are from people who say, because I ask them the question, what's the best thing about the program after they buy it, a week into it, and they say that I'm actually doing it. So I think all that hype, that shredded, it doesn't appeal. My experience has been, because I actually tried selling those programs to the people who've heard me speak, and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. I mean, it didn't. But when I put 50 Fit out, I mean, it took off. So I think appealing to quality of life, the ability to move and be healthy and youthful is what people over 50 or even 45, 40 are looking for.
Yeah. Well, one point about that, about them selling, is I've been a victim of buying some of those after watching an infomercial for a half hour, and they do sell. But sure. It was probably, I'm thinking of one in particular, I won't mention the name, but it was very discouraging to see, like they'd say, okay, here's what you can do if you're not quite at this level yet. And basically it was like, okay, you're a loser. So, why don't you do this baby exercise over here?
Yeah.
It was very discouraging. And so just exactly like you're saying, I couldn't stick with it. It just wasn't practical. Now, one thing that you just mentioned was functional exercise. So what I think you mean, and you can explain this, but like I've always called it binary moves. So when I was younger and, like I said, working out with heavy weights, it was very binary. It was up and down, or you push, and push. And what I had happen at one time, it was a rotator cuff injury, basically, because I wasn't doing any kind of functional movement. It was just up and down, ones and zeros.
Right,
so,
right.
Why don't you give me your thoughts on that, and if that's what you meant by functional exercise?
Well, yeah. They call it functional aging, but let me get back to it real quick. I want to hit one other thing going into, without all those adjectives, is a primary motivation of why I wrote 50 Fit was to educate. So it's not like a big textbook but okay, why are you doing what you're doing? Why does it, what is the program? Why does it work? and why will it work for you? So I'm just trying to educate them on the 7 movement patterns, which goes straight into the question you just asked. Functional training is kind of like, you know, the new buzzword in a lot of training programs, but especially for sports and for people as they age. It basically means that functional training will allow you to function better in everything. So, for example, if you're going to be a football player, it will make you train for that function. So when people over 50, what are we training for? What is our function? To live well after the age of 50 and to be
survive.
Well, yeah, I would say to thrive. And I think that's the message that 50 Fit delivers is you don't have to settle for mediocre. You can literally be a rock star. And no matter where you start, you know, and it's not like, and I would say, you know, I mean, because I have to sell this message. It's interesting because I get emails from a 60-year-old man who says, well, this program's too hard. This is an introductory. You know, I'm falling apart. Then I get an email from a 70-year-old woman saying, hey, can you tell me how to make this harder? And I'm like, okay. So everybody's different. So there is no shame. There is no stigma in starting off at the very bottom, you know, and working your way up. There's none in that. You know, progression, not perfection. Was it John Wooden, the great coach, said, do not let what you cannot do prevent you from doing what you can. So I really want everybody who buys 50 Fit to be encouraged and to know it doesn't matter, you're not comparing yourself to anybody else. The fact that you bought this, if you actually do it, you will improve your ability to function. I hope I'm answering your question, but functional just means you'll be able to do everything better. And going back to what you said, I've been there myself. Doing the bench press, nothing wrong with the bench press as an exercise, really. It's a good functional movement because it's a multi-joint pushing movement. But if you're not balancing that out with the rest of your body, then you're going to end up with overuse injuries or just injuries, and that's not what you want. So you want everything to function. The body's one large integrated machine with at least seven movement patterns that we need to be able to do with skill.
Gotcha. So I guess I misunderstood, but I think you do address it in the one I think you call it the movement manual. So I noticed that there's lots of full, or maybe they're not full body. I don't know. I'm not the expert, but you know where you're moving across center line. There's lots of, not lots, but there's several movements where you're actually practicing balance as you're doing
Right.
them.
Right.
So yeah, I misunderstood what functional meant.
No. The only reason I hesitate a little bit is because somebody else might describe it differently.
Gotcha.
Bit. But really, again, Paul Chek is a Chek, C-H-E-K, is a noted fitness guy. I mean, he's a genius, and he's the one who actually is credited with coming up with what he called the 7 primary or primal movement patterns of the body. So they're in 50 Fit, but I'll just give you, for example, and then I boiled it down in the workout to 4. So like, for example, upper body push, upper body pull, lower body push, lower body pull. I'll just tell you that. They're woven in there and they're balanced. It's set up for whomever, and they can just follow along. But yeah, as a result of that, it will you will gain muscle tissue. You will, if you do it, and you'll get leaner. You'll be more energetic. You'll be less pain. It's just the way the body is designed to work, kind of like eating right. So.
Yep.